There's a lot of debate going on. This health care law that was just ruled on has really got a lot of people yelling at each other. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on here?
Well, yeah, the health care bill. We got a lot of people who've, it's like they're going crazy that this is unconstitutional and it doesn't apply to us, and Judge Roberts made this terrible ruling. And I'm here to say that I think Judge Roberts actually made the proper ruling of what the status of these people are that it's affected. But the problem is, and this is what we talk about of America's Remedy all the time, is the people don't know what their status is. They don't know who they are. And so, it's a good ruling because the ruling is that Congress has the power to pass these laws over these people. And I love what Justice Roberts said. And this actually comes out of his ruling. I got it written right here. It says, "It is not our job to protect the people from the consequences of their political choices." And so what people get from this insinuation is, well, your political choice is who you vote. You don't have to vote these people in. Or some people say your political choice is, well, then we just need to get the Republicans back in or the Democrats back in. And we're here at America's Remedy say that, hey, your political choice is maybe it's what political body do you want to participate in.
So it's completely outside of the realm of Republicans and Democrats or even Libertarians in any of that voting circle.
Absolutely. Is who does the health care bill apply to? It applies to the United States citizens that reside in the states. And that's the terminology we've come to know. And most Americans say, well, I'm proud to be a United States citizen. But I'm not sure everyone knows where a United States citizenship came from. How did it get put in this place? And just think about this. This is the opening question, is that at the founding of this country, how much authority did the federal government have over the citizens of the individual states? Could they have passed a health care bill in 1820? Could Washington have done that over all the people? Because the Constitution, in most people's mind, in that perspective, hasn't really changed. And we know for a fact that they didn't have that authority. Well, then what happened? Well, number one is, who did Congress have authority over in 1820? They had authority over their own people. Citizens of the District of Columbia, citizens in the territories that weren't parts of states. They had that authority from the very beginning of this union. But they never had authority over the states. The states got together and created the federal government to give it limited power and to retain all the sovereignty in the states over the daily lives of the people. So originally, America was composed of state citizens. Now we're composed of United States citizens that resides in the states. And we don't really understand what the difference is. And that's what we want to do here. Is let's talk about what happened. Who are the people of the state? Who are the people that this Obamacare applies to?
Okay. So we're in the box. We're in the voting box. You're going to try to pull us out of the box just a little bit and try to look at what is a body politic. You're looking at the people, not the politicians.
What's another political choice that you have?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Another political choice.
It's outside the box.
Okay.
It's totally outside the box. And so what we got to do is we got to define who are the people. What's a state? And we got a definition of state here. And this comes out of Bouvier's 1856. Because again, people have got to understand what is a state. A state is a self-sufficient body of persons united together in one community. And basically, and here's straight out of Bouvier's, it says the state means the whole people united in one body politic. Okay? And the state and the people of the state are equivalent expressions. So the state and the people of the state are the same thing. So when you say the state, you're talking about the people. The people are the state. Now the people come together to have a constitution, and that creates the government for the state or the government for the people. Okay, so same thing. The Constitution is the government for the state or the government for the people, exact same phraseology. Well, again, who are the people? Well, to try to put this, and this is kind of a difficult topic to get people to understand. The people, let's say, who were the people of North Carolina in 1700? They were the British subjects, that were organized here and operated, being ruled over by the governors and people like that. But there were the people subject to the crown. Was the state, was that body politic, did it include the Native Americans? Well, no, it didn't. Did it include the French trappers out in the woods that were passing through and wanted to trap for a living? No, it didn't. It was the people that were united together. The French people were not united together with the subject of the crown. You know, neither were the American Indians. They were not united together. They were two different states, two different body politics.
Different belief systems.
Two different belief systems, two different sets of laws that they recognize, and all that. Well, then let's go to 1776. In North Carolina, you've got the people that are loyal to the crown, and then you got another group of people that are saying, you know what, we think the crown's abusing us. We think that they violated our rights, and we're not going to be politically bound to them. Again, this is a political choice they're making. We're saying we have a right to be different, have a different political body.
They've done as much as they can within that one political body, and it just doesn't match with what they really desire.
Well, and under the laws of the time, it was the crown, or the laws were that the function of government is to protect the rights of the people. Okay, and the colonists said, you're not protecting our rights, you're giving us abuses. I mean, the Declaration of Independence is an indictment. It's a list of all the crimes the crown's committed. And then it says, and we've gone to you to redress this, to ask you to change. And all we got back was more abuses. And so therefore...
Sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, really. That's what we're getting today. And so therefore, we are in a right, ought to be a free and independent people because you are not there to protect us. So now, what's the choice that the people who live in North Carolina, the inhabitants of North Carolina, what are their choices? Now they got two choices of body politics. I want to be loyal to the crown, or I want to be loyal to this group called the Freemen of North Carolina, who've organized themselves under a constitution.
That's a bad word nowadays, but
Freeman.
It's in the Constitution.
Freeman is a political status. It's a lawful. It's a status under British common law. Okay, and you can't take that away. And I know, I think the Montana Freeman has kind of been driven into people's minds that now that's a bad term. But no, it's still it's a legal term. It's a legal status. Okay. So it's the Freemen of North Carolina, organized under their constitution, or do you want to make the political choice to be a subject of the crown? So 1776, who are the people of North Carolina? Well, there's two peoples of North Carolina, two different body politics claiming control over the soil. Well, we had a war. We won. You know, the Freemen won. And so now, after the Treaty of Paris, who becomes the people of North Carolina?
Freemen.
It's the Freemen of North Carolina. Okay? So you got the Freemen of North Carolina. What did they decide to do? They said, well, we want to join a union. This union with these other former colonies, now states. And again, the state is the people. Who are the people of North Carolina? The Freemen of North Carolina. Okay? Entered into the Constitution of the United States. It's a limited government. It's a government that only has a certain enumerated powers, has no authority over the people of the states. You know, you got states' rights. What states' rights mean? People's rights. Individual group people at all the different states. All of them have their own set of rights that they choose.
The federal government couldn't.
Federal government
couldn't do anything with the people directly.
No authority in there.
Okay.
And so now you've got, let's go to 1860, South Carolina decides to secede. That state, that political body says, we are leaving you. Just like what we did with the Articles of Confederation and the Crown of England. We're leaving. Abraham Lincoln said, well, you don't understand. You have a mistaken belief that all government of right comes from the consent of the people, that y'all can choose your form of government. I say you don't have that right. Congress is going to back me up, and we're going to wage war to keep you in the Union. You know, we're going to keep you in the Union. We're going to fight you to keep you free. You know, it's just a bizarre concept. Yeah. And most people don't relate Lincoln to being the one that overthrew the founding principle of this country, that all government of right comes from the consent of the people.
He was the great emancipator.
He was the great emancipator. So what they've got to do is they got to take the guy that did the most harm to this country, but then paint him with something good. Well, now he's, it's mythical of this guy. I mean, he's godlike here. But that's only if you're given half the story. I say let's have the whole story on Lincoln. Okay. So, and if you look at the object of the war, and we've got lots of videos on that, I recommend people going and looking at it. The object of the war was not for any purpose of conquest or subjugation. That's what Congress said. And it was to preserve the Union with all the dignity, equality, and rights of the states, of the people, all the dignity, equality, and rights of the people, unimpaired.
Hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
And the reason they couldn't say it was for conquest was because you can only conquer a foreign country. They were considered these states that had seceded, not foreign countries. They were merely states in rebellion to lawful authority. So the war is over. Congress changed the object of the war and said, we believe it was for conquest. Okay, what's conquest? Conquest is a change of title, change of ownership. Okay, and Congress is saying the purpose of the Reconstruction Act, which is what we fight. Okay, the purpose of the Reconstruction Act was conquest. North Carolina, the freemen of North Carolina, they are a conquered people. They're conquered. The title to the soil has transferred to Washington, D.C. And Washington says, and we're going to people North Carolina over again. Freemen are not the people of North Carolina anymore. It's anyone born in the United States who has resided in North Carolina for a certain amount of days.
So the title of North Carolina has completely changed over
to a new body politic. So, so there's this misconception that North Carolina was readmitted into the Union, which means, well, the freemen, the state of the freemen was readmitted. Well, no. The word freeman is not even in the Constitution of 1868. It's a huge change.
Constitution changed and everything.
Constitution changed, the law changed.
Yeah.
Think about this. What the Reconstruction Act did was said that freemen of North Carolina, you're a conquered people. We're taking away your government. Okay, we're annulling your government and all your laws. We're annulling your body politic. We're going to create a new group of people. Now, and if you want to, declare loyalty to them, you can. But we're creating a new body of people who can exercise political power on the soil of North Carolina. Because that's all the state is who can exercise political power over this soil. And Washington said, we're going to say it's anyone born in the United States. Mm-hmm. Okay? Anyone born in the United States can participate in the government here in North Carolina. And a lot of people say, well, and this is the United States citizenship status. Well, of course, United States citizens. Well, let me give you an analogy, and the analogy I want to give is with France. Now, let's just take the European Union. We're familiar with the European Union. It's kind of like the union we had. The European Union is a limited government. It's a limited central government. It prints money, and it treaties with the body, kind of like what our original union did, the federal government did. But France, the people that participate in the government of France are, let's say, the freemen of France. Okay? They're the ones that get to vote in France. They're the ones that decide what form of government there is. Well, let's say, and I want to say, is there a difference? Is there a difference between the people that can decide on what their rights are, what their laws are in France, being the freemen of France? Is there a difference if the European Union says, you know what, we're changing all the rules? The only people that can vote in France today is anyone born in Europe can vote in France. So a European citizen, like we have the United States citizen, let's say a European Union citizen, anyone born in the European Union can vote in France. Is that different? Is that a different political body than the free Frenchman?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, absolutely it is. Mm-hmm. And this is the part that we don't get here in America of what this United States citizenship status is.
Because states back then were a lot different than they are now. They were sovereign, independent countries.
They were, absolutely. And so what the Reconstruction Acts did was annul the original state of North Carolina and created a new body politic. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the status of this new body politic? What have the courts ruled this new body politic is? I want to go to one of the very first cases that ruled on what a U.S. citizenship is. What's the rights of a U.S. citizen? There's a case called Elk versus Wilkins. And it says on the meaning of the words of the 14th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment says the persons declared to be citizens are all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. The evident meaning of these last words, which is subject to the jurisdiction thereof, is not merely subject in some respect or degree to the jurisdiction of the United States, but completely subject to their political jurisdiction and owing them direct and immediate allegiance. So originally, now, is that the status of a state citizen in 1820? A citizen of North Carolina, were they completely subject to the political jurisdiction of the United States Congress? And the answer is no. They were subject to their own state, but they were in a union with the federal government. So you have a change here. A United States citizen, by definition, is a body of people that through conquest were put in charge of the soil to where they could exercise political jurisdiction over North Carolina, but they were completely subject to Congress. The constitutionality of the Reconstruction Acts that made this change has never been ruled on, okay? But you have the states, or you have court rulings that saying that North Carolina has never left the Union. You know, Texas versus White, Mile versus Ellington here in North Carolina. North Carolina's never left the Union. We have an indestructible Union composed of indestructible states, which means the state, the body politic of the freeman, has never been destroyed. Well, that doesn't go with facts. Well, what you have is this concept called statutory construction. And so whenever a ruling comes, after the Reconstruction Acts have been passed, statutory construction says that when testing the constitutional validity of statutes, courts shall presume the statute to be valid. So whenever courts are making rulings, they always have to operate under the presumption that the laws that have passed are valid. Okay? So all the courts today are operating on the principle that the Reconstruction Acts were valid, that this change of body politics was valid.
So it doesn't necessarily mean the 14th Amendment and Reconstruction, that those are constitutional things. They're just going on the assumption that they are anytime they make a ruling, which brings us back to this healthcare issue.
Right. So now we're in this healthcare issue. We've got the concept, we've got all these people that are upset that the healthcare shouldn't apply to them. Well, are you a United States citizen? Because Congress can pass any law they want to over a United States citizen. And Judge Roberts said so. You know? But you got a political choice. And I'm saying there's two different body politics here. You got the body politic of United States citizens residing in North Carolina, which is not the status and the way this nation was founded. And then you got the body politic of the freemen of North Carolina, which is what we say, if we want to get America back on its foundation and to get the government back in its role of limited government, we've got to pick up these states and participate in them and make the legal challenge that we have a right to be freemen of states. We have a right to be true state citizens, not United States citizens residing in states with a totally different subjugation status. Who are you subject to? You know, the United States citizens are subject to Washington. The freemen of North Carolina are subject to the freemen of North Carolina. Where the people themselves are the sovereigns as a body. Again, we don't believe in individual sovereignty.
But people are looking for rights, and they're putting their anger in that system, the Republicans and the Democrats and the voting and the politicians, but they're in the wrong system to begin with.
They're in the wrong system.
They have to make a completely different decision on a personal basis to remove themselves and say, I want that status. I want the state citizen. I want to be a state citizen.
Right. I want the rights associated with the states. I want the political rights associated with the state citizenship. I don't want the political rights associated with being a United States citizen. And again, you know, we've got a choice. And look at this United States citizenship status. It's never been tested. You know, that's what we're trying to do in courts. It's never been tested. I've got a choice of participating in this system, which I know is a fraud and a criminal action, and I want nothing to do with it. Or I want to participate in the original state of North Carolina.
Excellent.